Good morning, everybody. Another episode of the Keep Going podcast, athletes shining a light on mental health. I'm going to take a step back, kick it over to Jackie Tripp for today's intro.
How's it going, everyone? I'm lucky I got to choose our guest this week, so I chose an NCSA connection for all of our listeners. But Connor Dalton here, him and I went through training back in November now. Stay connected, check in with each other, big rooted on faith, mental health, and sports, just like Pat and I. So I wanted him to come on and chat with us this Sunday. Appreciate him getting up to chat with us.
I love it. I love it. And Connor, before we get started, man, I ask the same question every week. Why'd you take time out of a Sunday to come on?
Yeah, man. I'm just a big passionate sports guy, big athlete guy, and big mental health guy. So I just went two and two, right? I mean, come on, that's what this is all about. So, yeah, that was the biggest reason.
Yeah, it definitely blends all together. And like I was telling in the prelude, on a day where it's a big sports day for myself, I'm actually out in Wausau, Wisconsin. If you guys could see out my window, beautiful city, northern Wisconsin. We're putting on a showcase and a recruiting talk out here. The reason I bring that up is it's all connected somehow. Jackie's going out there to go watch Bowden today, obviously go watch Carly, which is great. Yourself, obviously, in the coaching game. I love the pictures this week. Talk about what the game of basketball has meant to you, but not only that, but what has coaching meant to you overall, dude?
Yeah, no, I love the game of basketball. I mean, it's my life, and coaching is one of the biggest things that I'm truly blessed to do. I mean, the kids I've been blessed with are insane. They're awesome kids, and just getting up every day to, go and coach it's just, I don't know, dream come true. It's I couldn't ask for anything better to get up and go and support athletes at NCSA, but then also, coach in the evenings and unfortunately, our practice today had to get canceled due to sickness. But hey, we're grinding every week. We're getting going, and I just love seeing the kids every week. And over the last 6 years, it's been my biggest joy. And so it's a highlight of my week, even on the tough ones. So that's great.
Go ahead, Jackie.
And I know we jumped on the phones with our new job in this was we just finished up what our third month out of training. I know it's been a lot to adjust schedule wise, a lot to learn work wise. How has it been for you? Because I know some days I log off and my brain's just fried from work, like long day, even if it's a good day, just sometimes I'm exhausted. How do you deal with handling that and then logging off and now, okay, I have to go coach kids and now I've been the energy for people all day. Now I have to go do that for a group of kids. How has that been for you?
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie about it. It's one of those things where, especially when you have those bad days, right? You have a long day, you're tired, and then you got to go and do some extra stuff. But yeah, no, it's one of those things though that even after a long day, I get to go do something that I'm passionate about and something that I love, and so it's kind of easy in a sense to get up and log off and go and do something that I love even if it's been a rough day, and it kind of brings up the joys of my day and eliminates all the rough parts. So it's pretty cool, honestly.
I think it's good too because sometimes I think people find themselves after they log off of work unwinding by maybe scrolling on their phone, not moving their body. So I think it's good that you have something that maybe if you don't feel like leaving the house and going to work some days after work, you worked all day. I think it's a good way to recharge and be around people, especially with the remote work aspect. Something I've been trying to do too is even if I went to the gym in the morning before work, my sister's like, let's just go to the gym and go on the treadmill and just good to get out of the house and move your body too and recharge in that way.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, it's great. And it's one of those things too, like, there's some nights where I go and do Bible studies and stuff too. And not even just coaching every night. It's nights where we just get out as a community and go worship Jesus too. So it's one of those things that's great. I love getting out, especially after being home all day long. And just me and my two little puppies, so I don't get to talk to a lot of people face to face. So it's great to go and get some human connection for sure.
No, I love it. And Connor, I'm going to ask a new one this week. Obviously, we're a man down, so I'm going to try to ask better questions. I think right now in your life, what's the Mount Rushmore of mental health for you? Like, what are four things that are non-negotiables, your highest on the pedestal when it comes to feeling better every day?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing for me is my mental health is a lot with anxiety. And so waking up every morning, I know it's a common theme for a lot of people, but a lot of times people wake up anxious as hell. And so it's one of those things where I have to get up. First thing I do is kind of, wake up, get energized. I'll usually do some breakfast. I eat a lot of toast. And so I don't know, eating always helps me. So that's the first thing I do in the morning is get something to eat and get something to go. Then when I log on, just throughout the day, just reminding myself that, it can't control me and that you can control it. It's the biggest thing with anxiety specifically is it likes to control you. It tries to control you. So you can't let it control you. And so I just remind myself that like I can control it. Like it can't control you. You can control it. And so that's just the biggest thing with me is that constant reminder throughout the day whenever I have anxious moments or this and that where I can feel a little jittery or whatnot. But yeah, and then as the day goes on, I always at the end of the day, I always get into the Word. That always helps a lot too. Especially for me. It's there's certain not even just Bible verses always with anxiety, but just the Word in general. It can be anything in the Word. I mean, I'm currently going through Galatians right now. That's what I'm teaching at my Bible study, my youth group. So I'm currently studying Galatians, and even just reminders that God is all present and God is in all control. Just those constant reminders help a lot with just kind of settling your body down, kind of some mind games, I guess you could put it. And so I love that. But I think the last thing is every night before bed, I say a prayer every night before bed, obviously, but the one word, some of the words that I use every single night before I pray is I just thank God for the day. And I thank God for the strength to get through the day because, I can't do it alone. So it's one of those things that, really helps me is that just knowing that, I'm not alone and that nobody in this world's alone, that we're all together. But ultimately, we have our Creator as well with us besides us at all times. So it's one of the biggest reassuring things for me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful answer. I spoke at Parkland College yesterday with Zach, and the volunteer assistant was actually their FCA head. And shout out Cal. I thought he was an amazing human being. And at one point, Zach is talking, and he's like, "In your faith journey, at some point, you have to stop being a boy and be a man." And that stuck with me. And I think in your journey as a young professional, there's a lot of days, Connor. I'm just assuming if you're anything like myself and a lot of kids I've worked with, you want to be a boy sometimes still. And like, it's like,
That's true.
no, like God wants me to be a grown man and go in there and spread his news and give the good word and not only inspire yourself to go take on the day, but inspire others. So I get that vibe from you, Connor. I always have. In our young professional careers, knowing each other. So I love your Mount Rushmore. I love what you're doing, and I love what it means for other people that are waking up with that anxiety every day too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
I
yeah,
like
yeah. I was about to say transition. Go ahead.
I like that you said controlling the anxiety versus the anxiety controlling you. I wake up every morning and
Yes.
my whether I could have had the best day of my life yesterday. For some reason my body just wakes up in an anxious state. My back aches. I have to stretch. And some days it consumes me, but most of the days I'm in a good space where I know how to not let it control me. So try and do the same thing in the morning, especially because when we log on to work, we're talking all day. So I've been big on trying to just in the morning, turn my phone off, do my journaling, just throw a positive quote in my brain for the day and do some stretching. And I found that if I can have control over the first 30 minutes, half hour of my day and be structured in a routine and get myself in a good headspace, then I'm giving myself a good position for the rest of the day to go
Mhm.
well, regardless of what's thrown at me. So I like that that's something that you try and do as well, especially because we have long days. So the morning's been very important to me.
100%.
100%. I got to ask you, dude. We're sitting on here, and obviously, it's nice to have NCSA so far represented down like the totem pole here. Like, it's nice to have some sales, some ops, some different experience. I would like to ask you what the keep going moment is. Like, what is something that you went through either early on as a kid or early on as a professional that the normal man wouldn't have got through? What'd you keep going moment?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Yeah, no, I think, just the adversity I went through as an athlete. whenever I was in high school and through junior high and all that. I went through a lot of adversity and a lot of mental challenges, just as an athlete standpoint, and also as a biblical standpoint. And so I think honestly, when I was that age, I kind of ran from it, kind of let it quote unquote control me and ran away from it and didn't step up against it. So I think the biggest thing for me is now that I'm an adult, and I'm a coach and not an athlete, I'm coaching athletes. It's just to have the opposite mindset of what I did when I was an athlete. And so, I have players right now that are going through the same adversity that I went through with my high school team. And, I have a different perspective on it now. I have a different advice to give to them now than it is. But yeah, no, I think that just was my keep going, was just the adversity I went through. And now that I can overcome that adversity and keep going through, some highlights instead of just worrying about the downfalls.
Yeah, can I ask you just to unlayer that a little bit more? And you don't have to,
Yeah.
but what were some of the things you messed up?
Yeah, no. So like when I was an athlete, I had some troubles with my coach and some disagreements and stuff like that. And it was one of those things where, it was not to get too much into it, but just didn't have a great relationship with my coach. And just some other things with like playing um AAU ball, I had to kind of grind to kind of get into the flow there and stuff like that. But the biggest thing for me was just kind of the mental game of being an athlete. I was one of those kids that was always down on myself. Every little mistake, I let get to me. Turn the ball over, and I'm instantly in a bad headspace. And just mentally, when you're in that spot in a game, it controls you, and it makes you play worse ultimately. It's one of those things where you got to keep your mind straight to play the game of basketball, and especially with how social media is nowadays, and with all that, people athletes can get a lot of crap, and it's one of those things where for me it was just a mental game. I just was so down on myself 24/7. Every little mistake was end of the world, and all those things. And so now when I coach, I'm one of those upbeat hype man kind of coaches, and I talk to my players consistently, especially now that they're going through their seasons in high school, and I'm talking to them consistently, asking them about their mental health and kind of seeing how they're doing. And some of them are struggling, some of them are doing great, but that's the part of it, and I'm there for both of them. So it's one of those things where you just gotta keep that headspace. You got to keep that mental game strong. And for me, as a young man, it was something I avoided, and now as a little older but still young man, it's something that I attack. And so it's one of those things where you got to attack it. You can't let it just be the background noise. You got to go after it.
That I love the notion of not letting it be background noise too and facing it head on. And the way you described too how now you try and be a good supporter for the people you coach. I think we've touched on this too, Pat. We talk so much about how we tell young athletes to talk about their mental health and that it's okay to not be okay. But unless we're approaching them with that support and giving them the space to talk about their mental health, then there's going to be a gap. It's going to be something that we touch on, but we don't really let happen. So we need to continue to be the light for young people and tell them, yes, one, to talk, it's layers. It's one, tell them that they can talk about their mental health, but two, give them the space to actually do so. And it sounds like you're putting yourself in a position to do that for your athletes, which I can see and which I appreciate.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the open door is more valuable than the possible conversation. Without the door, it doesn't really matter. We've touched about, we touched
Yep.
upon it on this podcast multiple times. I think the open door is so big. I guess the question I'll ask you, Connor, just to kind of piggyback off of that is, you know, you mentioned talking about it. You mentioned having those conversations, right? If you had to speak to an athlete right now, say it's an athlete that listens every week, right? What is one thing that you would tell them to do? Like, what is the number one golden rule thing for you with your basketball players?
Yeah, no, I mean, my golden rule, my players know that I'm always by their side. I will stand up for them. I'll always be there for them, no matter how old they get. There's some kids I've been coaching since they were in eighth grade. They're going to be seniors next year. And I've consistently talked to them on a daily basis since I've met them. And so I want that to continue even as they grow into adults and college athletes. But yeah, no, I think just the biggest rule I have is talk about it. I mean, it's one of those things like if I always say you're not alone. There's nobody in this world that is alone. And so there's always somebody you can talk to. Even if you don't know who it is, there's somebody you can reach out to. So I like to be that for my athletes because when I was in their shoes, I avoided it, but I also didn't have, I guess, a mentor or a guidance person to guide me through my mental health when I was an athlete. So I want to be that for them. And it's stronger than people realize. Um, I think, when you're at a young age, you don't really see the bigger picture. As an athlete, you're kind of just going through the moves, you're going through the sport, but you don't see the bigger picture. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to provide that bigger picture and to support the mental health of that, athletes go through, even the ones that don't want to talk about it. Because,
What a blessing. What a
yeah,
blessing, dude.
it
That
is.
we're cooking now, dude. That
Yeah.
was a fantastic answer. I'm gonna go to David Mitchell's mailbag, but we're just gonna popcorn some questions at you. Nothing too crazy. I'm gonna have Jackie start.
Was gonna ask because this is more, and I've shared with you, Connor, that I've started leading into my faith journey. I know you said you read the word every night. I know that's something that's big in your life. Are there any books or podcasts or like music you listen to as well that's Christian based that keeps you going?
Ooh, yeah. Okay, so I got some verses. I like First Peter 5:7. Cast all your anxieties onto me, for I care for you. That's bars. I mean, come on. But no, books. I really like Galatians. I know I've talked about it, but I really like. I would suggest that every Christian reads the book of Galatians, and
That's your book. That's
that's
your
my
book.
book. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you gotta read that book. I mean, it's amazing. It's one of those books I feel like kind of not necessarily that popular, but it's man, it's powerful, and especially kind of quote unquote the fruits of the spirit, right? You can kind of put that with being an athlete and kind of stuff like that, and so applying those to your life, just applying those fruits just makes a difference, man. I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, no, that would be that. And then like music wise, I'm a big fan of Alex Jean. I don't know if y'all have heard of him, but big fan of him. Big fan of Forrest Frank.
Hmm.
Some of his music is it's just I don't know, it's just smoothing. It's just like a blessing to your ears. But yeah, no, I mean, then I also like some Caleb Gordon. I don't know if y'all have heard of him, but yeah, those are Alex Jean and Caleb Gordon are more of like a rap type. Obviously, Forrest Frank is more of like a pop kind of slow, I guess slower music than rap. But yeah.
Here's a new one for you. My question today is very simple. Who's your favorite Bible character and why? Who's your favorite athlete and why? And why are they connected?
Oh man, that's okay. All right. I'll go
A good
athlete first.
question.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
I'll go athlete first. My favorite athlete, man, there's some good ones. I would say. Well, growing up, it was definitely Devonte Graham. I don't know if a lot of you know him. He played
Hmm.
for KU. But man, he
A
just was
stud.
he was dog on the court, man. And I looked up to him as a young man growing up, and I wanted to wear that number 4 at KU one day. Because it just how he presented himself and how he played was just amazing. But gosh, I mean, I would say. I'm a big Titans fan. I don't know if anyone knows that, but I have a big love for Big Jeffrey Simmons. Just the what he posts on social media, how active he is in the Nashville community, his faith that he posts on social media as well. And then obviously he plays for my favorite team, so you can't not love him, right? But no, he's definitely a type of man that I would want to be, I guess, someday if I was a professional athlete. And just the way he presents himself, the way he helps others, and that he's present. That's the biggest thing is he's present in the community. He's present on the field. He's present within the locker rooms. So no, I definitely look up to him for sure. He's definitely my favorite currently.
Love
And
it,
then
man.
yeah, and then Bible character. Oh man, I mean, man, I don't know, man. That one's a tough one. I mean, we're going through Luke right now at church. Luke's a pretty cool guy. But I would say, I mean, can I just throw out Jesus? I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. Why
Can
not?
I throw out Jesus,
This is
man?
your
'Cause I mean,
episode, baby. Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
Jesus is top dog. I mean, come on now. No, I mean, I would say, I mean, favorite Bible character is kind of tough for me. I really like Moses.
Me
Um,
too. Me
Moses
too.
is, Moses was a dog. But I think my ultimate answer would probably be Jesus. I mean, Jesus is almighty, right? He's the number one priority and changed my life for the better. And so I gotta go with top dog, even though there's some other guys that are some pretty cool guys in the Bible. But yeah, I'm gonna go top dog on that one. And just the connection, being a coach, being an athlete, I feel like, if you got that solid ground with Jesus, everything just plays out. It's a lot easier. I don't want to say easier, but it's better to have, Jesus's presence with you at all times. And when you're an athlete going through some obstacles and some adversity, having Jesus alongside you and getting in your word, saying some prayers before games, stuff like that, just makes it a lot better. And so, definitely would say top dog Jesus.
Now, if you take anything away from today, just know that Jeffrey Simmons and Jesus were in the same conversation today. And I think there's a lot of glory in that. Go ahead, Jackie.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And there was a verse that someone had shared. I think it was Ashley Pat in the group chat, and it was draw near to God and he would draw near to you, something along the lines of that. And that
Mhm.
was on the forefront of my mind this week. And it was funny that she had sent that because I had wanted to share this. I had a very crazy day on Thursday. I started my day off, was having a really good day at work. And one of our family friends is dealing with something. Their family's dealing with a very difficult situation. It's been difficult for them. It's been something that is, as a friend, is just difficult when someone you care about is going through a situation that's kind of out of their control, and had to help guide them through that on Thursday and give support to somebody, and had a long conversation with that friend about things that had happened to them, things that had happened to me, made sure they were okay, health wise, and made sure they were safe in that moment. And was about to return to work and was like, I'm going to take lunch. When you just have a heavy conversation with someone, they bring up bad things that happen to them. You're talking about your situation, you just feel heavy. So I just needed to take some time, go grab lunch. And I just felt in that moment that the best thing I could do for myself was turn my phone off. So I put my phone in my car, walked down Main Street in the town we live in Maine, went to a deli, sat by myself, just had a sandwich, and just was just thinking to myself about how I can be better in the sense that conversations keep me going. And I think we lose sight of how important face to face or Zoom conversations are in life because things just become so surface level. So I was just sitting thinking to myself, how I can be better. I was like, I think that happened today because I needed a reminder from God to just be present and that I'm okay. The best things happen when I have conversations and I check in on people. So, anyways, I leave lunch, I get in my car, I call my girlfriend, telling her about my day, how I'm about to log back onto work. And I stop to let someone cross the street and I get rear-ended by a big red truck. And I'm fine. Of course I'm on the phone with my girlfriend. She's like, what's happening? I'm like, I'm fine. So I pull over, the guy gives me his information. I go home, go to urgent care. My sister wants me to get checked for a concussion. I don't have a concussion. I probably got 8 playing basketball. I don't have one today.
Yep.
So I leave. I finish out the day. Don't finish work, obviously. And I go home and I just sit down on the couch. And I'm like, the day was crazy before I got rear-ended. And then I got rear-ended. And I looked at my sister and I'm like, I just think I needed to be reminded of how extraordinary an ordinary day is, because I think I'm like, I just want to log on to work tomorrow and I just want to have a normal day. And I feel like sometimes I take that for granted. And I think God reminded me this week that an ordinary day is truly extraordinary, because I woke up expecting to have an ordinary day at work and just expecting to go through the motions. And God gave me a lot of different things, humps to get over that day and speed bumps, and I made it through. And so I think that was just something I wanted to share because I think we go through our days and we just go through the motion sometimes. And I was definitely served a reminder this week as to like how extraordinary just a normal day is and how much to appreciate that. And obviously, it put a rut in my week and it caused inconvenience, but I'm actually coming out the other side of it appreciative and thanking God that He gave me that reminder. So I just wanted to share that. You two were two people I wanted to share that with anyway. So it worked out good that this was the podcast this week.
No, it's a beautiful thing. And what I will say today to cap us off is two things I took from that. One, when you stray away from God, He's with you in the near and He's with you in the far. And He always will be, which is the beautiful part about the sheep, right? We celebrate the 99, we celebrate the one. I think it's a beautiful thing. Second thing, we talked about in the not the podcast, in our speech yesterday. I had a camp with Ian Happ. Ian Happ fouls a ball off his shin. There's no reason he should be at a kids' camp the next day hobbling around. And he's out there, and I go, Ian, why are you here? Left fielder for the Cubs. Why are you here? And he's like, this is just another day. It always stuck with me that, like, no matter what happens, like, we got another day to work with. The good, the bad, the ugly. What a powerful thing. What a blessing that is to get another day. Connor, this has been a fantastic morning to start our day, my friend. Please, anything that you haven't said yet to the audience, say it, and we'll wrap us up today.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think I would just go on high, with how important, mental health is. I think it's one of the things that as a world we do a very poor job about. We don't talk about it. We keep it in. We keep it in. We don't share. We like to keep it to ourselves. And I think it's more of like the world has um, made mental health something that is embarrassing, or something that we should keep in, and that it's like if you talk about it, then you're weak, or you're not strong, especially as a man. And not that women don't go through it either, but from a man standpoint, I see a lot of young men that they tell me all the time that they can't share it because they'll be seen as less. And I just want to say that, I think that that's completely unacceptable. And that, as a community, as a world, we got to do a better job taking care of our mental health. And we've even seen it, with professional athletes. I mean, we just lost another one just last week in Rondell Moore. So, mental health it's real. It's something that we need to take more seriously. And I think it's great that there's something like this that's out there that is trying to, take it seriously, talk about it, because the best thing you can do, like Jackie was saying, is talk about it. And the more you keep in, the worse it gets. The more you talk, the better it gets. And I tell people that all the time. Like, I know it's hard to talk about it. I know it's hard. It's something that, it's not easy to just sit there and talk about your problems or sit there and talk about something that's going on. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, just let it out. It's that easy. Like, it's not that easy. But you'll feel a sense of relief. You'll feel better if you talk to somebody you trust and somebody that's actually listening. Because I think we need to do better at that as well, as listen. And so I would just say, like, talk about it. That's my three words. Talk about it. It's one of those things that, we got to do better at. We got to do better, and we got to also, on the opposite side, we got to do better at listening. We got to do better at supporting and being there for each other. Because if you don't have somebody to support you through it, you're not going to talk about it. So it's one of those things. So yeah, that's what I would end on for sure.
Connor, you inspired a bunch of people today. As a young former athlete, as a young coach now, we need more of this. So please keep moving forward with this. Even on the tough days, man, we need this in this profession. As I head to a facility right now, I think that's so key. And don't forget, for people that think this isn't being talked about, Tom Brady, Damian Lillard, Simone Biles, it's happening. Just don't forget that in the grand scheme that we all go through it. Michael Phelps, just to name a few. Go ahead, Jackie Kappas.
Yeah, I think Connor put it well. Just talk about it. And I think Pat put it well too, is keep the door open. So if you can do those two things, is be the type of person where people feel like they can talk about it to you, and also do your best to surround yourself with people, like Connor said, where you feel like you can talk about it to them. That's the best way I would cap it off. This is a great way to start my Sunday. I'm hype. I'm going to a championship game in a little bit, so this is a good way to start my day. Appreciate you coming on, Connor.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, amen, everybody. Keep going above all else. And Carly Davy, get it going today. Get the crowd going. Jackie, get them going. We love y'all. Have a good Sunday.
Deuces.